UFC 205. Can't wait, motherfuckers. Madison Square Garden. The first time the UFC being featured in beautiful New York. I can think what make it. Okay, I can't sing that Jay-Z song, but you guys get the idea. We all know when UFC 205 was, where it was located at, because they kept on telling us every 5 fucking seconds that it was New York, it was in Madison Square Garden. It was a big fucking deal. UFC 205 delivered on the big show feel, the big show atmosphere? Did it feel like the big event that a lot of the UFC people were hoping for? Well, let's talk about this in this recap and results, shall we? I can already see the comment section one. Who won in the main event? Oh, you'll have to wait for that one. Shit. Anyway, some pre-fight heroes. Khabib Nurmagomedov destroyed Michael Johnson. Frankie Edgar defeated Jeremy Stevens in a good little prelim main event. That's all I got to say about those fights. Anyways, to kick off the main card, Misha Tate, former UFC women's bantamweight champion, defended it. Fought Raquel Pennington. And what was just a one-sided affair where Raquel Pennington just showed how much she has improved and how good of a fighter she really is and how much of a threat she is in that UFC women's bantamweight division. Defeated Misha Tate single-handedly in 3 rounds. It wasn't even close. My only complaint about Pennington, despite, was that she stayed way too long in the clinch. Like against Misha Tate, against Misha Tate, that's fine because Misha Tate's like a well-versed fighter. But if you're going against Amanda Nunes, who's pretty damn good in the clinch, you do not want to stay in that clinch for so long. You want to find a way to break out of it. Sometimes I felt that Raquel Pennington was just getting too close to the cage and really wasn't doing any damage at all. So she needs to fix that up, and then maybe she's on Amanda Nunes' level. But Raquel Pennington defeated Misha Tate, who was her coach on The Ultimate Fighter, funny enough. And then afterwards, Raquel Pennington was kind of giving a little interview saying, oh, I'm so happy. Yeah, I won, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, Misha Tate's like, nah, I'm going to let you finish, but I'm retiring from the UFC. Misha Cupcake Tate is retiring? I got the eye of the tiger, and you're gonna hear me run. I'm gonna miss Cupcake. I'm gonna miss Misha Tate, to be honest with you guys. Like, let's be real here. Misha Tate, Ronda Rousey gets all the love. Ronda Rousey gets all the love. Gets all the hype and everything like that. But Misha Tate was one of the few pioneer women in MMA. Misha Tate, when it came to the UFC, like one of the first fights in the UFC that the women had that was just so jaw-dropping was her and Jessica Ai on that Ultimate Fighter finale. I can't remember which team it was or whatever, but her and Jessica Ai had this crazy freaking fight where they were destroying each other. Misha Tate was money. Misha Tate was fun to watch, and I'm going to miss seeing her fight. So congratulations, Cupcake, on the wonderful UFC career. At least you won the championship. At least you did that. You did that. You won the championship. Now you can live on and be happy. I don't know if you're going to be happy with Brian Caraway. I heard they broke up. That sucks. Whatever. It is what it is. Call me Misha. Do it, but I greatly appreciate it. Anyways, great career for Misha Tate. Up next, Yoel Romero took on Chris Weidman. And I was really, super hyped up for this fight. Like, you guys don't even understand. I was so hyped up for Yoel Romero versus Chris Weidman. And the reason why I was kind of hyped up for this fight was because I said, man, this is probably Chris Weidman's biggest test in his career. And the reason why I said that is because a lot of things about Chris Weidman that I always had my gripes about with him and, with Weidman fanboys, because, oh, my God, when Weidman was the middleweight champ, guys, dude, his fans were so fucking annoying. Oh, Chris Weidman can't be beat. Chris Weidman's unstoppable. He beat Anderson Silva. And I said, well, Weidman has never really faced a wrestler on a higher level than him. Weidman has always faced guys who are predominantly really good at stand-up, and Weidman knows how to out-wrestle them and outgas them and make them tired, and thus when they're tired, Weidman can outstrike them. Weidman, he's a really good fighter. I'm not trying to say Chris Weidman's bad, but it was just to me, I was like, I've never seen Weidman face a wrestler that's on the same level, if not higher level than him. So I was really excited for this Yoel Romero fight because I was like, dude, Yoel Romero is probably the toughest fight in Chris Weidman's career. And so when I was watching this fight, I remember some guy on the Twitter, shout out to the report, he was trying to tell me that Yoel Romero wouldn't out wrestle Chris Weidman. I was like, dude, Yoel Romero's really good. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but Yoel Romero, pretty damn good at wrestling. Pretty damn good at that. And yeah, Yoel Romero whipped that ass when it came to the wrestling. The first round, very close, very even. I would give it to Weidman just because Weidman was landing a little bit more strikes while Romero was being a little bit more passive in that round. Second round, oh, that was all Yoel Romero. Yoel Romero won that round simply, easily. And then in the third round, Jesus, like, this is what Romero did. Like, Yoel Romero did such a good job with his wrestling in the second round that he was able to trick Chris Weidman, because when he went for that flying knee, Chris Weidman literally thought he was level changing, and he just got hit by that flying knee. That flying knee was brutal. It was disgusting. Oh my God. R.I.P. Chris Weidman, dude. Like, you thought he was dead after that. He wasn't moving for a good while after he got hit by that flying knee. Yoel Romero ends up winning, and then we got a funny exchange between him and Michael Bisping. Look, Yoel Romero, he's like top 10. Like, you gotta like watch his post-fight press conferences because they are going to be absolutely hilarious. But that's pretty much what happened. So Yoel Romero is now the new #1 contender for the middleweight championship. Up next, women's strawweight championship fight. Joanna Jedrzejczyk taking on Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Okay, I'm not going to say their full names anymore. I'm not going to say any full names for these two ladies, okay? They just getting their first names, all right? They're just getting their first names. So Joanna and Karolina, pretty much the first 3 rounds were just Joanna just destroying Karolina. And Karolina the whole time, before every round, she had her hands on the back and she was like kind of just chilling there. And she was just like, oh yeah, you know, I'm just going to get my ass kicked and I don't care. I was like, man, props to this girl, man. She making barely any money to get her ass kicked. Props to her. She going out there and she just getting her ass kicked. Good for her. Just good for her. So Karolina was pretty much just looking to get her ass kicked. And it was like, I swear to God, in the 4th round, if you read Twitter, everyone's like, who can stop Joanna Jedrzejczyk? Oh my God, no one's going to beat Joanna. Where does she rank pound for pound? And then that changed in an instant because Karolina popped her in the 4th round. And then it was like, oh my God. And that like woke up everyone. They're like, oh my God. And Karolina started to go and charge at Joanna. Joanna was not even guarding. She was like all loopy and stuff. And then once it got into the clinch position, that's how it ended. It was like, oh, okay, like that was it. But Karolina like brought some life back. Everyone's like, oh, dude, Karolina, this girl's a beast. I love Karolina and stuff like that. And then in the 5th round, it was more of like, you know, Karolina was like kind of tired because she was just getting beaten up in the 3rd round. She probably wasted a lot of energy in the 4th round. Joanna, her mindset was, I just want to get the fuck out of here with my championship. So I'm going to do everything necessary to get the fuck out of here. And she did just that. And that's what happened. Joanna won 4 rounds to 1, retained the UFC strawweight championship. Hey, you can't beat greatness like that. Can't beat greatness like that. Bisping is going to fight Yoel next. Prosperity. Yeah, that was announced. Yoel became the #1 contender, and then Bisping gave him the bird, and it was funny. And then Yoel Romero just was like, you know me, Mike. You know me. You know you can't beat me. I'm real champ. That was literally what he did. Anyways, up next, welterweight title fight between Tyron, the chosen one, Woodley, taking on Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I can just tell you guys right now, first round was pretty much a chess match. It was like whatever until Tyron caught Stephen Wonderboy's kick, hit him with a couple shots, took him down, and started to pummel on him. Now, when you look at that round, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson only landed I think 4 strikes in that total round, while Tyron Woodley pretty much controlled that whole round, pretty much manhandled him the whole round. So really, to be honest here, I gotta give that round to Tyron Woodley a 10-8. And then you look at the 2nd and 3rd round, it was pretty much Stephen Wonderboy Thompson looking like a beast, just like Rory McDonalding Tyron Woodley. Like, if you watch a Rory McDonald fight with Tyron Woodley, that's what Stephen Thompson did for the 2nd and 3rd round. Just backed Tyron Woodley up, outstruck him. Tyron Woodley was trying to use his explosiveness, but he was too hesitant because he didn't want to get hit with the counter, so he didn't go all the way with it. And the thing is, a lot of people don't understand. Like, a lot of people that are not hardcore MMA fans probably watching this event for the first time, watching UFC for the first time, because let's face it, a lot of people watching this event probably are new to MMA because they've heard a lot about Conor McGregor. And when you're watching this fight and you see Tyron Woodley standing there with his hands up and Wonder Boy is doing this shit, you're thinking, why doesn't this guy just go in there and crack this fool? Well, the thing is, like, a lot of people don't understand with karate. Karate's like known to like block from the below and everything like that, quick movements with your hands to your side. So that's why Tyron Woodley did not charge in there, because Stephen Wonderboy Thompson could have easily caught Tyron Woodley leaning. And when you're leaning forward and you get hit, you go to sleep faster. So Tyron Woodley did not want to get Rashad Evans. That's what happened to Rashad Evans when he fought Lyoto Machida. Remember that Rashad Evans was like, oh, shit. He got caught by that leaning hook, and then it was all over after that. Yeah, Tyron Woodley did not want to have the Rashad Evans face. That's all he did not want to do. So Tyron Woodley was fighting a smart fight. And in the fourth round, Tyron Woodley's patience paid off, because once again, it was like the same theme with the Jedrzejczyk situation, where people on Twitter and any social media was like, who can stop Stephen Wonderboy Thompson? Conor McGregor should not go to welterweight to fight Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's the best. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's awesome. And then all of a sudden, boom! Tyron Woodley with his right hand unloads on Stephen Thompson. And Stephen Thompson, like, honestly, that fight could have been sucked, because Wonderboy, like, got knocked the fuck out. He was literally down, but that dude's tough. Ground and pound, that didn't stop the fight. I thought once, like, Woodley was grounding and pounding, I was like, this fight's over. There's no way in hell the referee is going to let this shit fly. But Dan Miragliotta's like, I don't give a fuck. You all just fight. Tyron Woodley gets a guillotine choke in, and then, like, has a standing guillotine. Wonderboy's trying to get out and does, like, a takedown. Tyron Woodley gets a sick guillotine in, and I'm like, oh, my God, Wonderboy's going to tap right here. And Wonderboy wasn't tapping. It was like, oh, my God, those are like those intense moments in MMA. That's why you're an MMA fan, for those intense moments, for all those crazy shit moments where you're just like, how do these human beings do this? Why are they doing this? It's amazing. That fourth round of the fucking year, it's not even close. Great freaking round. And then in the fifth round, you know, Wonderboy just Rory Macked him again, pretty much just backed him up against the cage. Tyron had no answers. And then came one of the most hilarious moments of UFC 205 by far. So UFC 205 had a weird situation happen. Bruce Buffer was going to announce the winner, and then all of a sudden, no, he's not. He's going to go out there, and he has to get the judges' scorecards again. I don't know why. Then Bruce Buffer goes out there again. He announces the result. For the judges voted 47-47, 47-47, and one judge voted 48-47 to Tyron Woodley. Therefore, your winner and still UFC welterweight champion, Tyron Woodley. So Tyron Woodley was all excited. He's like, yeah, man, just retained. And then Tyron Woodley's giving this happy interview, how happy is he won. And then Joe Rogan's like, whoa, wait a minute. And you could see Tyron Woodley's face was like, and he's like, no, you're okay, Tyron. And then Tyron's like, no. He thought Bruce Buffer read the result wrong, and that Wonderboy was going to get his goddamn title. Like, Tyron Woodley was scared to his mind that he was going to lose his championship because of a miserror read by Bruce Buffer. All the Steve Harvey memes were in full effect, but it turned out it was a majority draw. So it was a draw. Tyron Woodley still champion. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson still a beast. We might get an immediate rematch, which is all good by me, because I'd rather see these two fuckers fight than see Damian Maia put me to sleep. So I'm all good with that. This fight was really good. Probably the best fight of UFC 205. Now it's time to talk about the fight everyone came to this video to see. Let's be real here. No one came to see me talk about the other shit. Everyone wants me to talk about Conor. How can you not talk about Conor? Talk about Conor. That was probably like your friends. If you had a fight party, you're probably all like, your friends like, when's the McGregor fight? Oh my God, when's Conor fighting? I'm just going to drink beer until Conor's fighting. That was probably your friends, right? Like, if you had a UFC fight party, you're just like, oh my God. Or if you went to a bar to watch this event, they're like, where's Conor? Oh, when's the Conor fight? Or people on Twitter, tell me when the Conor fight is on. Well, guess what, motherfuckers? I'm finally talking about the McGregor fight. So we're going to talk about the McGregor fight. Conor versus Alvarez. My official prediction, and a lot of people probably would be surprised that I chose Conor for this fight, but I felt Conor was going to win in the third round TKO. Honestly, the reason why I chose Conor to win in the third round was because Conor McGregor really reminded me of a guy that caused Eddie Alvarez a lot of problems down in Bellator named Michael Chandler. I was like, that was the one fight watched before this UFC event took place. I went back to watch the Eddie Alvarez and Michael Chandler fight because I was just like, you know, Conor's very built similar like Michael Chandler. You know, Michael Chandler doesn't have the power that Conor McGregor has, but he's built similar. And Michael Chandler doing what he did to Eddie Alvarez, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely choosing Conor because like I was like so split, like because I was like, Eddie has wrestling, but Conor's a better striker. Who's going to win? So I was like really, really split. But then after watching that Michael Chandler fight and seeing how similar he is to Conor McGregor, I was like, oh, Conor's winning this fight. There's no way. Because like the thing about Eddie Alvarez, he's a really good fighter. But when you look at a lot of Eddie Alvarez's wins in the UFC, let's call a spade here. A lot of them have been bullshit. Let's be real here. His fight against Anthony Pettis, that was a split decision, but a lot of people thought Pettis won that fight. His fight against Gilbert Melendez, a majority thought he won that fight, but yet Alvarez won via split decision. He got a good punch on Rafael Dos Anjos. Good for him. He beat Rafael Dos Anjos. I thought he was going to beat Dos Anjos because I thought he was a better striker than Dos Anjos in the first place. I mean, Eddie Alvarez lost to Donald Cerrone, who is a very lengthy guy, kind of like Conor McGregor. All signs kind of pointed that Conor McGregor, if Eddie Alvarez did not wrestle Conor McGregor was going to most likely dominate Eddie Alvarez. And that's what happened. Eddie Alvarez came in with the smart game plan. Hey, I got to limit his movement. Let's go with the leg kicks. The problem is Eddie Alvarez got a little bit too comfortable in that pocket. He was like, oh, I'm landing these leg kicks. I landed these body shots. Let me go in for the kill. Let me show Conor that I'm going to outpace him. Oh, you dumbass. You don't do that against Conor McGregor. Are you kidding me? He has great movement. He has great, like, freaking speed with his left hand. Why would you move in on Conor McGregor, you dummy? Just stay outside the pocket. Just leg kick him until his legs are no more. Like, honestly, I feel like the best thing to happen in Conor McGregor's career was the loss to Nate Diaz because it made Conor McGregor fight smarter. It made Conor McGregor a more patient fighter. If you look back at the first Diaz fight, Conor McGregor was still like, oh, I'm just going to go out there, swing my punches, go batshit crazy. While, like, now, if you look at the second Diaz fight and this fight, McGregor's patient. He waits in the pocket. Yeah, sure, he'll do his little showmanship crap, but he's pretty much fighting a more patient fight. And that's what a lot of the greats did. You know, Anderson Silva, you know, when Silva clowned around a little bit, yeah, it was funny, but he was patient with this fight. He wasn't going to go force the fight. He was going to let the fight come to him. GSP, same thing. Always having like a second strategy, being patient, waiting until the later rounds to dominate his opponent. You know, Conor McGregor was just being patient. Eddie Alvarez wasn't, because Eddie Alvarez felt, oh, I landed those body shots, I landed those leg kicks, so now it's time to go in for the kill, you dummy. You deserve to lose after what you did. You just pretty much gave Conor McGregor his game plan. You played into Conor McGregor's game plan. That's what you pretty much did. And Conor McGregor, he's done tremendous with his takedown defense. Now, we will talk about more about McGregor's future and who he could be facing and who he should be facing and everything like that a little bit later on and stuff like that. But, you know, his takedown defense, like, I honestly, like, Nate Diaz is not a great takedown fighter. Let's be real here. Nate Diaz is not, like, a world beater when it comes to taking people down. But Eddie Alvarez is a pretty good wrestler, and it really surprised me how good Conor's takedown defense was, how good he actually stopped those takedowns by Eddie Alvarez. So I really thought that Conor did a good job with this takedown defense, and honestly, he deserves a lightweight championship. He outclassed Eddie Alvarez here tonight, and he defeated him. Just point blank simple. The first round, he knocked him down twice, you know, technically 3 times, but it was twice. He knocked him down twice. And then afterwards in the second round, he did the same thing, knocked him down twice, and then landed a beautiful flush combo. I saw in the second round, too, Conor McGregor was doing the Mayweather shoulder roll. He was doing the Mayweather shoulder roll. He went back and he hit the Mayweather. I started laughing my ass off when I saw him do the Mayweather shoulder roll. It was like in the middle of the second round, Alvarez was going for some punches, and McGregor was doing the shoulder roll and stuff like that. Like, the shoulder roll is great in boxing, but it's not really that good in MMA because you're too square and you might get hit like really, really hard. And in MMA, you kind of want to have a different base, you know, kind of a wild base and everything like that. But I thought it was pretty funny that he was trying to do the shoulder roll. Because, like, look, I know Floyd's retired. I know a lot of people are not Floyd Mayweather fans, but I've always been a big fan of the Mayweather shoulder roll and then Mayweather do a quick little, nah. speaking of the no shake, Tyron Woodley was doing that too. Tyron Woodley tried to do the no shake, but he didn't do it as smooth as Mayweather did. But ultimately, Conor McGregor won, gave a hilarious Conor McGregor post-fight press conference, and now he's a 2-time champion. You know, the thing is about Conor McGregor doing this amazing feat and becoming a 2-time champion, it's awesome. It is really awesome to see someone do that in today's MMA because really, to be honest, you think it would be that hard for it to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of hard for someone to do that. But at the same time with Conor McGregor, you know, I think a lot of fans kind of need to understand when it comes to McGregor, and a lot of people need to just understand in general when it comes with Conor, Conor has kind of gotten more opportunities and has been given more advantages than a lot of other UFC fighters. When it comes down to it, Conor McGregor has been, and you cannot deny it. A lot of the cards Conor McGregor has been on, stacked fucking cards. Please tell me another card that Conor McGregor has been on where he's carried it on his own. Because really, to be honest here, a lot of people will say, well, he's like the main draw. Yes, that's true. But then when you look at the undercard, there's always 2, maybe 3 title fights beneath him. Pretty big deal. If you're a casual fan, you want your money's worth. Oh, yeah, I'm going to buy the card with 3 title fights than the UFC 206 that has 1 title fight. Just saying. He's been favored a lot with a lot of helpful cards and been favored with a lot of things that a lot of fighters could have done himself. Look, when Jose Aldo was featherweight champion and Anthony Pettis was lightweight champion, I'm pretty damn sure Jose Aldo would have kicked Pettis' ass and would have became a lightweight champion. I'm pretty sure if Frankie Edgar wanted to, he could have become a 2-time champion in 2 different divisions. I'm pretty sure John Jones, when he was actually sane human being, he could have became a 2-time champ and everything like that. You know, I appreciate what McGregor can do for the sport. I understand what McGregor is for the sport and also for the company of the UFC being a big-time draw. He gets handed a lot of stuff to him. That being said, Conor, you at welterweight, don't do it. Did you not see what Tyron Woodley did to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson in the 4th round? Did you not see what Wonderboy Thompson can do to you? He has a longer damn reach than you do. Stay away from welterweight for a while. You do not want to fight Robbie Lawler. I can tell you that right now. And don't even think about fighting Big Diaz unless you're really desperate for money. Do not think about fighting Big Diaz. And Anderson Silva, stop trying to get a fight with Conor McGregor. Are you trying to embarrass this little man? Like I think it's so funny that Anderson Silva wants to fight Conor McGregor. He's like, yeah, you're like, we all know why Anderson wants to fight him. Let's be real here. Anderson wants that bling bling. I mean, Anderson don't live in Brazil anymore. He lives in Los Angeles. He's learning that things cost more here in California. So Anderson Silva wants all that money that he can make. Stop it. Conor McGregor, just fight in the lightweight and featherweight division. There's a lot of good guys down there for you to fight. A lot of interesting matchups down there for you to fight. I would rather see you stay in those 2 divisions, or at least one of them, than you going up to welterweight and middleweight and facing the consequences. Let's be real here. As gifted as Conor is, the Spider Goat, do you really think he can survive against Anderson? Let's be real here. Little Nate Diaz punished Conor McGregor. What would Big Brother Nick do? Wonderboy Thompson's eyes went back of his head. Do you think Tyron Woodley's fist would not destroy it? And then Wonderboy himself, do you think Conor could even touch the fucker? And let's not get into a Robbie Lawler brawl there. Hell, I think Damian Maia and his jiu-jitsu could even beat Conor. Just stay in the 2 divisions, McGregor. You do not need to do anything else. You're fine in the 2 divisions. You're in the perfect 2 divisions for you. Look, if Conor goes to welterweight and he fails, so what? Right? He's still going to make a lot of money because he has 2 other titles. But to me personally, just saying, I would stay in the division where you're dominating right now. Just build up your rep there, and once you beat up all these other guys, then you can go to the welterweight division and see how you do. But definitely avoid Anderson, Nick, and all these other guys. That's what I would say. That's just me. One thing I forgot to mention, actually, before I talk more Conor McGregor was, like, I think I talked about this on Twitter, but I didn't mention in this video, was that I kind of agreed that Wonderboy and Tyron Woodley was a draw, to be honest here. So Dark Soldier has a results video in his channel, so go check that out. So Blue Knight, you didn't have audio for the most pay-per-view. Joseph says, wow, Conor just dominated. Bolgon Inc. says, Conor, ole, 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 ole. Prosperity is like, well, it's not like Conor didn't prepare for takedowns. Well, yeah, he did. I mean, he was facing a wrestler. McGregor only dropped him 4 times officially by the UFC stats. Holy fuck, Conor looked amazing. Do you think he would kill Diaz at 155 now? Maybe 170 was too much. I don't know about that. Let's be real here for a second. Conor's good, but we saw Nate beat him once already. And yes, he did beat Nate Diaz again. He beat Nate Diaz the second time, but it was a close fight. So I think Nate Diaz is just a problem for Conor McGregor. He is just one of those guys whose styles matches really well with Conor, and plus he's really tough to put away. That's what I was saying. Like when everyone's like, "Oh, I'm fighting Nick Diaz next." What the fuck do you guys want with this guy? You want him to die? Like shit. Hell no. Just keep him with little Nate. Anyways, now it's time to wonder, what should Conor McGregor do next? Who should Conor McGregor fight next? Because really, to be honest, there's a lot of interesting matchups and a lot of big-time matchups that the UFC can do. Like, honestly, Dana, let's be real here. You're not going to take away the featherweight strap from Conor. Because really, to be honest here, all the featherweights don't care about fighting each other. They really, really don't. They want to fight Conor. They don't want to, like, look, they're like, oh, he pisses me off because he has the title and he's not defending it. What makes a better story, Dana? Max Holloway beating Jose Aldo, or Jose Aldo beating Max Holloway, or Max Holloway or Jose Aldo defeating Conor McGregor? I think the other one makes more sense. So just keep the 2 belts on Conor, and especially with the way that Conor fights, and if he does finish fights quickly, he's going to have enough recovery time where he's not going to be missing a lot. You can use Conor for, like, look, this is what Conor's like, for 3rd pay-per-view this year. That's pretty good. 3 pay-per-views in 1 year. Most fighters don't even do that most of the time. I won't be surprised if they get a matchup for him at 207 with the Ronda Rousey. Make that card even bigger. Who knows? But when it comes down to it, which fight makes more sense for McGregor? Which fight should he do? I mean, let's look at the interesting power rankings here. At number 3, you got to think Khabib. I always fuck up on his name. I'm sorry, people. Khabib Nurmagomedov would be number 3. I mean, Khabib has an interesting matchup with Conor. I mean, let's be real here. We talked about Eddie Alvarez as a wrestler. Khabib is top-notch when it comes to being a wrestler in the UFC. We saw what he did to Michael Johnson and what he did to RDA and what he's done to so many other fighters in the UFC. You know, maybe that's an interesting matchup. A guy like Khabib taking on Conor McGregor. The thing, though, with Khabib is almost kind of like the same thing with Eddie Alvarez. He's a little bit smaller than Conor. And we saw with Michael Johnson lit him up a little bit earlier on in the fight. You know, Khabib's stand-up is not the most polished in the world, but, man, when he gets you to the ground, it's all over from there. And we all see what happens when Conor gets on his back. He's one of those guys where it's like, yeah, he knows wrestling, but he's not good enough yet to fight off his back. And if he's on his back for too long, it could spell disaster for him. So would you go with the Khabib route? Sure, Khabib's talking smack, Khabib's whatever, but really, to be honest here, is Khabib really all that trustworthy? How many times have you been excited for a Khabib fight and all of a sudden Khabib gets injured? You know? Yeah, he's undefeated, 24-fight win streak, all you want, but really, to be honest here, I would rather see Khabib fight Tony Ferguson. Like, I know it sounds like, oh, that's unfair to Khabib, but really, to be honest, Tony Ferguson at least has been active. Tony Ferguson has been fighting the best. Sure, he's lost to some of the best, but at least he's been fighting them. He recently got a big win over the former champion Rafael Dos Anjos. Khabib beat Michael Johnson, who beat Tony Ferguson a long-ass time ago. And Khabib's all like, oh, that should be a reason why I should fight for title. No, get the fuck out of here. You're really good, Khabib. I really think you are. I think you probably have the best chance at beating McGregor more than anyone else. But you're not the interesting fight. You're not the money fight. And when it comes to the UFC, we all know by now they want the money fight. And then number 2, you got Jose Aldo versus Conor McGregor. Again, look, that's a big-time fight. You got Jose saying all this shit to the media. Oh, I'm retiring. I hate the UFC. I'm the greatest of all time. I'm the best and everything like that. And then Jose Aldo, he gets redemption. It's a chance for Jose Aldo to show, hey, that one punch was just a fluke. Let's see what he can do with me in 5 rounds. And when it comes to Jose Aldo, size, length, and shit like that, it doesn't matter to this guy. I feel like Jose Aldo just got caught up in the moment and got hit with a huge punch that knocked him out. But when it comes down to it, that thing doesn't faze him. That type of moment does not faze Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo is a very tough-minded fighter, and when it comes down to it, I can think Jose Aldo could give McGregor a run for his money. The only problem is McGregor's now a two-time champ, and really, to be honest, Jose Aldo looked back for him against him in the first fight. So who really would benefit from it? Just Jose Aldo, not really Conor McGregor. The real money fight is Nate Diaz again. McGregor versus Diaz 3. UFC, you're not going to get Nate Diaz to fight anyone else on your goddamn roster. He has no interest in anyone else. You have McGregor as the 155 champ. You have blown a lot of things lately, UFC. The Holly Holm Ronda Rousey situation, everything like that. You have the perfect situation for Diaz and McGregor free. And so what if Nate Diaz is lightweight champion and he beats McGregor? Who gives a fuck? You pretty much have shown the championships don't really mean all that much anyways in your goddamn organization unless Conor's holding them. You do the McGregor versus Diaz 3 rematch. Oh, instant money. Diaz has shown he can beat McGregor. And then when you look at the second fight, a lot of people now are going on the train and saying they thought Diaz won. Oh my God. Just think of the potential money that you will be drawing. Just think about that. That's the thing. Diaz versus McGregor free has to be the fight. It has to be. And if the UFC doesn't do it, and they go with Khabib or Jose Aldo, they're idiots. Again, Conor has not defended the featherweight title. Look, if Conor wants to defend the featherweight title against someone, I'd rather see Holloway versus McGregor too. I believe they fought before. I can't remember all that well. McGregor versus Holloway 2, then fucking Aldo versus McGregor 2. Because Max Holloway, that dude's fucking exciting as hell. Hell, even if Jeremy Stevens just lost, I'd rather see Jeremy Stevens go on and fight Conor McGregor. You have the little press conference clip. It'll be hilarious. Hell, Frankie Edgar. I wouldn't mind seeing him face Conor McGregor. We know Frankie Edgar can take a punch, dude. Let's be real here. Don't say, oh, well, Frankie Edgar will get destroyed by Alvarez. No. Alvarez is tough, but you ain't Frankie Edgar tough. Frankie Edgar is the toughest dude in the UFC. I mean, UFC 200, you saw this motherfucker just get his ass beat by Jose Aldo and everything like that. And I know there's going to be some people in the comment section, even on the playback, saying, stop saying Jose, it's Jose. No. I've heard that shit so many times. Joe Rogan calls him Jose Aldo. Mike Goldberg calls him Jose Aldo. I am sick and tired of Jose Aldo changing his name to Jose or Jose, so I'm just calling it Jose. So if it pisses you off, deal with it. I'm sorry. I already know I'm going to get a comment like that. But anyways, guys, I feel like that's the best fight to go is McGregor versus Diaz 3. I don't know. I think a lot of people are agreeing with me in here, so yeah. I don't think Aldo will get his title shot. He's not the money fight. You got to get the money fight. Nate versus Conor 3 at UFC 209 in Brooklyn, possibly. Conor's interested in that fight. I think you would use Conor for the Super Bowl card, to be honest. I think that is the Super Bowl card. Who knows? But I would use them for the Super Bowl card. Edgar versus McGregor would be balls deep. Yeah, it wouldn't draw, but it would still be good. Anyways, if you guys have any MMA, UFC questions for me, leave them in the chat, and I'll answer them to the best of my abilities. I'm going to, not wrap this up soon, but wrap it up a little bit earlier than usual just because of just because I haven't been feeling well in the past few days and stuff like that. So, yeah. So, let's go. Hashtag UFC NY recap and results. Got to tweet this shit out. Overall, UFC 205 delivered well. I thought it was a good show. A lot of the title fights, for the most part, at least the fourth rounds were interesting. And, seeing McGregor dominate the way that he did, it is what it is. Prosperity asks, what did you think about Tate retiring tonight? I was really sad. I was really sad about that because Misha Tate's an entertaining fighter. She is like a pioneer of women's MMA, even though like Carano and Cyborg and Ronda Rousey get more of the praise for that. She is a pioneer of the women's MMA, and especially when the UFC first started with the women's fights. Remember that fight between her and Jessica I think it was, on the Ultimate Fighter finale a couple years ago? Oh my God, that fight was amazing. That, like, I remember my friends came over, and I was like, oh, you want to go see some women's MMA? And they're like, the women are fighting in UFC now. And so I showed them that fight, like the fight was playing, and it was like bam, bam, bam. It was like really, really good. Predictions for Rousey versus Nunes. Oh, Amanda Nunes, 3rd round KO. I haven't seen Ronda Rousey fight in a while. And Amanda Nunes is a pretty well-rounded fighter. But at the same time, I don't know how, like, Amanda Nunes is good on the ground, but is she as good as Ronda on the ground? I don't know that. I have to go watch more Amanda Nunes tape, but Lennox. But I'm going with Amanda Nunes right now because I think she has a little bit more power in this, and I think she's a better, well-rounded fighter. Seen the videos of Conor talking shit to Tyron and Khabib. Yeah, I saw the Tyron Woodley one. Like, Tyron Woodley's doing a good job trying to get a Conor fight. Look, Tyron Woodley even knows. He knows that this is the easiest money fight ever. Look, he's not going to get the Georgia St. Pierre fight anytime soon. GSP would like it, but the UFC ain't going to give it to him. He ain't going to get the Nick Diaz fight anytime soon because Nick Diaz has no fucking interest fighting Tyron Woodley because Tyron Woodley does not make a dime. Nick Diaz wants that Legend Tour money. He wants to fight big-time fighters. Tyron Woodley, yes, in the hardcore MMA fan base, he's a champion. He is a big-time fighter, but in reality, he isn't. He isn't that big-time as a lot of people like to make him out to be. He doesn't draw the big bucks. So, Tyron Woodley wants to fight McGregor because it's the money fight. Khabib wants to fight McGregor not only for the money fight, but to win a title. So there you go. So smart on both of their parts, and McGregor's just playing out his options. Lennox asked, what was your fight of the night and finish of the night? Fight of the night was Woodley versus Thompson for me, and the finish of the night has to be McGregor. Do you see International Fight Week going to NYC in 2017 or maybe 2018? I'd go with 2018. I think that they'll have one more year in Vegas, and then they'll decide to do it in 2018. You have to get a UFC Hall of Famer that's like a New York guy. That would make sense. What company are you favoring today? WWE, UFC. I find as I get older, I lean towards UFC. When it comes to talking about the sport, I tend to like WWE a little bit more because it's a lot more fun and enjoyable for me to talk about WWE because I can poke more fun at it than UFC because a lot of the MMA fans like to wear the tough guys tap out shirts and get all serious about it. So I enjoy talking about WWE a little bit more, but when it comes to big-time UFC events and UFC cards in general, I lean towards more watching UFC than I would WWE. Like, the problem is with today's UFC, as at least with WWE, I know what I'm expecting. I know what Raw and SmackDown and the special events / pay-per-views could give me. With the UFC, half the time I don't even know what cards are going on. I have to be subscribed to, like, Fight Pass and have to wake up at 7 in the fucking morning to watch a goddamn UFC event that doesn't really have any fighters I'm interested in, and there's way too many fighters for me to remember, and it's hard to keep up with it. So when it comes down to it, when it comes to pay-per-views, UFC all day, just overall knowing what's going on and being able to keep track with everything, WWE, because at least I can do that with WWE. I know who's on the roster. I don't even have to watch NXT that much because I can just check the NXT roster if I need to know if anyone's new that sounds interesting enough. When it comes to UFC, it's like, dude, I can tell you this, man. Like, I used to remember knowing all the prelim people, like even like the people who fought on the dark prelims and saying, oh, that guy's going to be a great fighter one day and stuff like that. I remember I used to be able to keep up with that because there weren't that many UFC cards and everything like that. But nowadays, I can't tell you half the fucking guys. Like, I'm just like, I don't know anything about this guy. If you told me to go talk about the prelims, like who Tim Bosch fought, like Rafael Nato, who's a really good fighter, I wouldn't be able to tell you that much. Like, just being honest with you. Not trying to be disrespectful to any of the fighters. They do great stuff. But it's just so hard to keep up with the UFC and the talent that they get. Will Cyborg get the winner of Nunes versus Rousey? Oh. She's not going to cut to that weight. That's the problem. I think she's going to get Rousey even if Rousey loses. So, yeah. That's what I think. Do you see Woodley face Thompson in a rematch? Maybe UFC 210, says a straight shooter. Yes, they're going to have a rematch. Shark T46, can you give a shout out to Amanda? And she wants to know if you like the Bruce Buffer's outfit. Shout out to Amanda. And yes, Bruce Buffer was looking very fly tonight. Minus his little Steve Harvey incident. He did a very good job. So there you go. Who would Stipe fight next? That's a very good question. I have to think it's Cain. Cain Velasquez has just looked so good in his last fight. And really, to be honest, Stipe has already gone through like the who's who of heavyweights when it comes to fighting for the championship. It has to be Cain Velasquez. It can't be anyone else. That's for sure. Favorite UFC card this year? That's a hard one. 196 was really good. I like the Lawler versus Condit card too. I would have to say UFC 202 is my favorite card this year. Yeah, I have to go with 202. You got Rumble like knocking out Teixeira and shit like that. No, was that 202? I can't remember. All these UFC blend together. I'll go with 202. I think 202 was one of my favorite cards. It was like every fight was at least entertaining and stuff like that. So I'll go with 202. 199. Oh yeah, 199 was a good one too. So there's been some good pay-per-views this year for the UFC, but 202 would probably be my favorite right now. Oh, worst UFC card this year? Oh, dude, that's not even. Are we adding fight passes to this shit? Oh, God. Can I add a fight pass card? But in all honesty, the worst UFC card this year, I should not even close. With all the hype and all the aftermath, was fucking UFC 200. Oh, my God. UFC 200 was the worst card of the year. It's not even close. Which company has the best athletes, asked by Lennox? UFC, WWE, or NFL? That's really hard. I would have to go with the NFL because a lot of them do a lot of crazy shit that is like really hard for the kinetic of the human body. Yeah, I'm going with NFL. And NFL has a lot more kinetics that human body has to do and everything like that. I'll go NFL. NFL is definitely the hardest. I thought Eddie tripped before he got into the octagon, but he was praying. Like Eddie Alvarez listening to Biggie, and then boom. Who do you have, DC or Rumble? Oh, DC, Rumble. I got Rumble winning that shit. Oh, DC walks into a Rumble right hand, gets to knock the fuck out. Tired of DC shit. Tired of it, man. Hope DC gets knocked out. And besides, when John Jones come back, I'm tired of John Jones and DC too. It's funny to some degree, but at the same time, it just gets annoying. What does Eddie say now? Nothing. He has nothing to say. Like, Eddie Alvarez was trying too hard. Look, a lot of fighters don't want to play the McGregor game, but they end up getting caught in the game and stuff like that. So when it comes down to it, it's like, they try so hard to be funny. Like, look, maybe I'm just mentally strong when it comes to shit. But if I was a UFC fighter and Conor McGregor was talking all this shit, I wouldn't try to be funny. I wouldn't try to say shit back to him. I would just probably try to be funny in different ways. So, like, when someone asks me a question, I'll Marshawn Lynch that say, I'm only here so I won't get fined. I'm only here so I won't get taken off the card and everything like that. Like, I would try to do that instead of trying to counteract anything that Conor says, because Conor's going to out trash talk you. And then when you try to trash talk Conor and you try to shut him up and try to be funny with him, guess what? You look like an idiot at the end of the day. Just let Conor be Conor, you be you. I know it's like, oh, that's so simple, but it's like some people, like some human beings, like literally, they don't, like, that's why Nate works so well with Conor. Do you see Nate? Like, he's just like, oh, man, whatever, dude. I'm just, man, yeah, he's a good fighter. Yeah, man, fuck him, dude. Who cares, man? That's why Nate works so well. Nate don't give a fuck. Nate's just sitting there like, yeah, whatever, dog. Yeah, it's like Conor's all trying to talk shit. This bum needs me. I'm the reason why he's the champ. He's yielding his name and all this shit. And Nate's all like, man, I made him tap out. like, you know what I'm saying? Nate Diaz is just not giving a fuck. He's not trying to be funny. He's not trying to counteract with Conor or try to like say, oh, Conor, really? Really? You said that? Huh, Conor? Conor? It's like, no, Nate's just not giving a fuck. Frankie Edgar would be perfect too, because Conor would say something, Frankie'd be like, Yeah, Conor's right. And that would play with Conor's head more, especially with someone agreeing with him. Like, yeah, Conor will be like, ha, 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 see, they agree with me. They know what's up. They know I run this shit. But when it comes down to it, Conor's thinking in his head, fuck, I cannot get into this guy's head. I need to get into this guy's head. Jose Aldo, the only reason why Jose Aldo didn't talk fucking back is because he don't speak English that well. If Jose Aldo speak English that well, oh, Jose Aldo would be so annoying if he knew English. You kidding me? He'd be so annoying. So fucking annoying. Lennox W asks, do you watch Tommy Toehold? It's really good UFC parody. Oh, I love Tommy Toehold, man. Tommy Toehold puts up the best stuff, man. I get excited when I see a Tommy Toehold video. My favorite Tommy Toehold impressions, respectfully, fuck you, is John Jones, man. Like one of my favorite Tommy Toehold episodes is like John Jones's one phone call. He calls DC. I was hacked, Daniel. Hey, why are you always wearing that blue Oxford shirt? And why are you always so sweaty? I don't let fans touch my belt. Such good shit. His John Jones is like one of my favorites. I like Anderson too. His Anderson's kind of fallen off a little bit. Like his Anderson used to be really, really good, and then it's just fallen off a little bit. The Officer Spider one, the one where he's like heard Anderson was going to like cop school, and he did the one where Anderson's a cop. Yeah, he has Chris Weidman on the road, and he talking about Chris Weidman having a Horcrux. You're not the champion, Chris. Fucking good shit. Is Nick Diaz? Doesn't sound like Nick at all. Neither does Nate Diaz, but they say more funnier stuff than Nick and Nate. Love Nate doing shout outs. Nick Diaz has way too many episodes to talk about. I've been liking his GSP more. His GSP has just been spot on as of late, so I've been liking his GSP a little bit more. Yeah, he has so many good impressions, but by far, John Jones is my favorite, dude. Oh, John Jones going on the run, too. He's like, let's see what news is going on. John Jones is on. Oh, my God, guys. Oh, my God. They just canceled Resident Evil 6. Man, that sucks. I was respectfully looking forward to it. Oh, good shit by Tommy Toehold. You guys got to watch him if you haven't. He's really good. Did you see during the entrance Conor McGregor do his Vince McMahon strut walk? Yeah, he does that all the time. That was pretty funny. What is the most boring division this year and the best division this year? Most boring division is the Demetrius Johnson division. The best division this year is probably any division Conor's in, but in all honesty, the welterweight division. Because when you look at the welterweight division, and I'm throwing the McGregor-Diaz fights in here, so shut the fuck up. It happened at welterweight. You got Lawler versus Condit earlier this year. Then you got both of the McGregor-Diaz fights. Then you also got Tyron Woodley and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. You got some other good like welterweight fights that happen on fight passes and stuff like that. Welterweight division has been the best division this year. It's not even close. Not even close. Who should Nick Diaz fight next? GSP, in all honesty. That sounds like a better fight for me. And also, I think it'd be a good fight for GSP to return to be honest. It'll make a lot of money, too. Is it me, Chase, or does Nate Diaz look like Austin Rivers from the Los Angeles Clippers? Hell no. Not even close. Conor versus Nate versus Jose Aldo. Conor versus Mendez. Conor versus Alvarez. How do you rank the build-ups from favorite to least favorite? Conor versus Nate, number 1. Conor versus Jose Aldo, number 2. Conor versus Alvarez, number 3. And Conor versus Mendez had 2-week build-up, and Mendez was not barely saying anything. So I would have to say Conor versus Mendez, number 4. Who from wrestling's past would you compare to McGregor on the mic? The Rock, Chris Jericho in his prime. Yeah, he has some very Jericho stuff, like some stuff that I think Chris Jericho could do very well with. Who else does he remind me of? He's kind of sporadic enough. Like he kind of has Ric Flair in him a little bit, a little bit of Ric Flair, where it's just he has that smoothness that Ric Flair does, and those little catchy catchphrases like, "Oh, you're gonna be rich, baby. you tell your girl that to break out the red panties because you're about to be a rich man. Like, funny stuff like that. Like break out the red panties and stuff like that. It's gonna be red panty night and stuff like that because you just got the money fight. So he has like some really good tongues, like Ric Flair riding Space Mountain and everything like that. So Ric Flair is definitely up there. I would also say, for how sporadic he is, sometimes Scott Steiner too. I know that sounds a weird comparison because Conor's actually comprehensible on the mic, but like some of the stuff where that he comes up, he just goes, "Fuck off, suck my big Irish balls." I just picture Scott Steiner grabbing the mic and going, "Fuck you, man, suck my big dick." So like Scott Steiner and some parts. So there you go. Those are the people I would compare it to in wrestling's past. You think John Jones can come back from his past? Respectfully, yes. No, not on it. Honestly, John Jones now. He has like a hard pass for him to overcome. I feel like he would have to win the lightweight championship and break if John Jones ever made the lightweight, R.I.P. Conor McGregor, but you have to win the light heavyweight title again and make a significant run with it. Catch weight match scenarios: Rumble versus Woodley. Rumble for me, and Woodley acted like a little childishly after the cards were being explained. Joe Rogan had to coddle him. Oh, Rumble would kill Woodley. Rumble used to fight at welterweight, Shark Teeth. Rumble used to go down to the welterweight terrains and everything like that. Yeah, Tyron Woodley looked like he was about to cry because he thought his belt was going to get taken away. Who has the weirdest and best body in the UFC? Oh, weirdest body? Dominic Cruz. Like, goddamn, motherfucker looks like Gumby. I don't know what that dude's doing, but he has such a weird body. Best body in the UFC? Yoel Romero. Like, fucking A, chiseled out of granite. Were you aware Triple H was at the event? I'll go for good old Triple H. Maybe he gave Conor McGregor a WWE title. Maybe he called up Misha Tate afterwards. Like, here Misha was retiring. Like, Steph, we found our next women in NXT. We got to get Misha Cupcake Tate. Who would win in a drug test fight, John Jones or Randy Gregory? Oh, Randy Gregory, not even close. Randy Gregory's probably smuggling some coke right now in rehab as we speak. John Jones, he's a pretty nifty guy, but not as nifty as Randy Gregory. Considering Randy Gregory didn't get busted while he was in rehab, what a dummy. How do you get busted in rehab? Like, you're supposed to get better when you go there. Yeah. Man, how about college football? Speaking of Randy Gregory, former Nebraska Cornhusker, but man, college football this week. You thought 1, 2, and 3, and 4 were all going to dominate their games. Like, Alabama did their work. Like, Alabama destroyed freaking Mississippi State. And then all of a sudden, you go to 2. Clemson loses by 1 to a mediocre Pittsburgh team who have been playing hard with everyone else. Then you have it where Michigan loses to Iowa, and then USC doing what USC does best and what the Pac-12 does best to destroy each other. All right, sorry about that, guys. College football talk over. I just remember Randy Gregory, and I had to let that out there. Fight of the year for 2016. There's a lot of good ones. I would have to say the fight of the year was Condon and Lawler for me, but there's a lot of ones that were really good that happened on like those random UFC cards that I talked about that I barely watched, but I was told I should watch. I can't remember. Ferguson versus RDA was a pretty damn good fight. John Dodson versus that one dude. I can't remember who the fuck it was, but that was a really killer fight too. I can't remember who the fuck that he fought. Dodson lost the fight, but it was a really good fight too. But I got Lawler versus Condon. That shit was insane. Like they were just killing each other, man. That's just vintage Robbie Lawler. When will Khabib Nurmagomedov? How come I can't say his last? I was saying his last name. Okay, I don't know if you guys do videos or whatnot, but man, every time I do a video, I'm I practice some of these hard ass names, dude. So like for example, like when I would talk at NBA, there's this one NBA player. He has a name, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I learned how to say his name pronounce it correctly, and so I was like, all right, these are the names I have to remember: Joanna Jedrzejczyk, Karolina Kowalkiewicz, and Khabib Nurmagomedov. Okay, now I finally said his last name right. So whatever. When will Nurmagomedov get a title shot? King of Chaos, honestly, probably not until like mid 2017. It'd be nice if they gave it to him in January, but if Nate Diaz is interested in a fight, go. Do that one. Best fighter this year and worst fighter this year. Best fighter this year, I already said the fighter of the year so far is Michael Bisping. Like, it's not even close. Like, I know a lot of people are going to be like, Conor right now should be fighter of the year, but let's be real here. Conor, yes, he did win the lightweight championship, but he still lost to Nate Diaz earlier in the year in an embarrassing fashion. And yes, he made up for that loss, but Michael Bisping went on and defeated Anderson Silva. Who gave Michael Bisping any fucking shot against the Spider Goat? Yeah, sure, it was Anderson Silva after getting caught with PEDs, but he's still Anderson Silva. You know how many people still say that Chris Weidman did not beat Anderson Silva because Silva was, come here, Chris, come here, dicking around. And then the second fight, oh, well, if Anderson didn't break his leg, Anderson would have beat Chris Weidman. He's still Anderson Silva, and Bisping beat him. And then Bisping goes on against Luke Rockhold. No one gave Bisping a blue chance in hell, and Bisping knocked the boy out. And then Bisping goes on and beats Dan Henderson. Sure, the Henderson and Silva fights, controversial beyond all belief, but he's been a winner this year. He's won 3 key major fights. Conor McGregor lost in a major fight against Nate Diaz, who was freaking drinking when Mike Goldberg and Joe Rogan were like, Nate Diaz has been performing in triathlons. Nate Diaz was not doing anything. McGregor was training, and he got his ass kicked. How am I going to freaking sit here and give that honor to Conor McGregor? No, I am giving it to freaking the guy who deserves it more in freaking Michael Bisping. He's the best fighter of the year. It's not even close. If freaking Rumble Johnson wins the light heavyweight title, I'll be whatever. And then later on, when it comes down to it, worst fighter of the year, Johnny Hendricks. I don't know what the fuck happened to this guy. Oh my God. Johnny Hendricks. Just God damn. Like, who cursed this human being? Like, seriously, Johnny Hendricks, top tier welterweight, was one of the fan favorites for a long time. Huge big deal. Put on great fights with like Robbie Lawler twice and GSP and stuff like that. In the beginning of this year, he goes on and he gets his ass whipped by fucking Steven Wonderboy. Like, Wonderboy made Johnny Hendricks look, oh my God. Like, he made Johnny Hendricks look so bad. Like, he wasn't even a former world champion. And then afterwards, against Kevin Gastelum at UFC 200, oh my God, dude. What happened to Johnny Hendricks, dude? That has to be the worst fighter of this year, man. Because at least with RDA was tough against Eddie Alvarez and tough against Tony Ferguson. So, yeah. No problem, Shark Teeth. Enjoy the post-fight press conference. I understand if you guys want to go off and watch the post-fight press conference. I'm all cool with that. Do you think Brock will ever fight in the UFC again? Yeah, probably in one fight, like Shark Teeth mentioned. Were you shocked Eddie Alvarez didn't go more wrestling in this fight? Yes, Red Riot. Eddie Alvarez was not playing to his strategy. He got too cocky. He felt that he could outstrike McGregor, and guess what happened? He got his ass kicked. Silly Eddie Alvarez. No, Aisha, he won the welterweight title 2 years ago. Johnny Hendricks did. He lost it, I believe, early last year, I want to say, or late 2 years ago. I can't remember. But he was a welterweight champion, and I just don't know what happened to him since. It brought the... Oh, okay. King of Chaos. Chris Weidman's wins against Anderson Silva don't count. They were so fluke. It was funny because my mom watches like the big UFCs with me, right? So she'll watch the big UFC. She doesn't really care about the smaller UFC cards. Like, I'll be like, oh, hey mom, do you want to watch like UFC 206? So, like, if I ask her to watch UFC 206 as Rumble versus DC, she's gonna be like, nah, it's not McGregor fighting a Rousey fight. My mom's so casual. So like, my mom would watch Anderson Silva fights because she liked watching Anderson Silva, and she saw Chris Weidman beat him, and she couldn't believe it. And then like my mom, like I said, she doesn't watch all the other UFCs with me. So every time when she sees Chris Weidman fight, Chris Weidman has lost. And so my mom, after like seeing Yoel, like just like knee Weidman in the face and almost kill him and stuff like that, my mom goes, how did this guy beat Anderson Silva? I just started laughing. She's like, no, like he wasn't probably a good champion anyways. He lost his belt and then he loses again. And I was like, Mom, he defended the title at least twice. And she's like, well, I didn't see those fights. See, if my mom didn't see the fight, it don't count. It don't count in my mom's head. Oh, Eddie looked scared throughout the whole fight, in my opinion. Yeah, once Eddie got rocked, that's when he was like, oh shit. Like I said, go watch the Cerrone fight again, Cerrone and Alvarez, and especially go watch Alvarez versus Michael Chandler. Go watch that fight, and you can see why I chose Conor in the third round. Because Aisha's in the chat right now, and Aisha can contest with me before a lot of people, especially the people who watched the post-fight recap on the archive and made it this long. Aisha can even attest that I'm not the biggest McGregor fan in the world. And she probably thought that I was going to choose Alvarez because I'm not a big McGregor fan. Hell, even Steven can attest to me on the Team Heel podcast. Steven went with Alvarez. I said McGregor in the third round. I even told my manager today that I was choosing McGregor in the third round. So, yeah. Like, I'm just saying. I do my research before I talk MMA, unlike most fucks in the world, where they're like, oh, I'm just this person's fan. Fuck them. Fuck the other fighter. Ole, 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 Conor. And watch all these people, when they come to the video, you're just a Conor nut hugger. The fuck are you talking about? I'm a Conor nut hugger. I don't get that. Oh, how? McGregor fanhood. I don't get it. I can praise a fighter when they're good. Conor McGregor is great. Who is the best commissioner / promoter in the sports today? Like all sports, Lennox? I would say Adam Silver right now. He's doing a great job with the NBA. The NBA is like, even with the super team warriors and shit like that, NBA has been fun to watch, dude. So I think he's been doing a great job as commissioner. To me. At least to me. Ciara and O'Brien, Conor McGregor is now a double champion. He's the one who won. Where does your McGregor hate stem from? I just don't like how he's been like handed a lot of opportunities when it's like other fighters have been doing somewhat better than Conor McGregor and have been slept on for so many times. Like Cub Swanson, for example. I feel Cub Swanson was like, he was like on an 8-fight win streak at one point when McGregor was like on his when McGregor won his first 2 fights. And it was like McGregor was getting all the opportunities that Cub Swanson never got. And then Cub Swanson got the short end of the stick and had to fight Frankie Edgar. I honestly just don't like the favoritism that UFC gives to him, really, to be honest, because I just find it sickening because like GSP never got this favoritism. As much as I'm not a big fan of watching a GSP fight, I would have to say that at least GSP, he fought the best fighters. He fought the toughest guys. You know, GSP, at least, like, it was just like GSP would show up and do his shit. Say what you want about Anderson Silva, but it was the same thing with Anderson and everything like that. It's like with McGregor, and when John Jones was even the golden child, you know, remember when Dana White canceled UFC 151, or was it? Because Hendo got out with injury and John Jones didn't want to fight Chael Sonnen on short notice, and how much Dana White ripped John Jones a new one and just said, this fucking kid ruined the whole fucking card and destroyed it. And yet McGregor in UFC 200 pretty much derailed UFC 200 for what it's worth. And it's like McGregor gets a free pass and he fights at the T-Mobile Arena again for UFC 202. I mean, really, to be honest here, that's why I don't hate McGregor really as a fighter, to be honest. It's more of the fact I hate how much the company kind of babies him and kind of, you know, treats him so highly, where it's just like, I get it. What he does for the business is great, but I have to say that that's where my McGregor hate stems from, is just how hypocritical the UFC is with him, how much favoritism they give him. And don't get me wrong, the same thing goes for Ronda Rousey. It was just with Ronda Rousey, at least I felt Ronda Rousey was fighting the best opponents available, while McGregor, it feels like he gets to call his own shots when it's like, fuck, man, a lot of the other fighters could have gotten this opportunity. I just feel like they protect McGregor way too much. That's just me. Early pick for the NBA championship and MVP. Early pick for the NBA title. I got the Cleveland Cavaliers winning. I don't know who they face. Probably most likely Golden State at this point, but the Clippers have been looking pretty good. But I got the Cavaliers winning, probably in like 6 games over Golden State. And early MVP, probably James Harden right now. Harden's just been playing out of his mind with the D'Antoni system. He's a perfect fit at point guard for them. Number 2 would probably be Russell Westbrook, with the triple doubles that he's been putting up and just carrying the Thunder as a whole. And then DeMar DeRozan would be number 3, doing a good job. And Kawhi is also like a sleeper number 4. You know, those are my 4 way too early MVPs. I don't even know why we're asking about MVPs right now in the fucking NBA. It's way too fucking early. Like the NFL, you can kind of go early on MVPs because like earlier wins matter the most in the NFL compared to the NBA. Because here's the thing about the earlier wins in the NFL. You know, when you get on a 6-game winning streak and you're 6-0, or if you're like 6-2 and stuff like that, it helps you out a lot. It helps you with your candidacy a lot more because there's a lot of teams who have losing records already, a lot of teams with even records, you know, or you can be like the Cleveland Browns and still have not won a game. So it's like easier to say, this guy's the MVP, and here's the reason why. He took this team who was bad last year and made him win and everything like that. Blah, 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 blah. You know, early wins matter more in the NFL because they help you out with playoff position, while early wins in the NBA, who gives a fuck? Like, everyone's like, oh, the Warriors are. It's like, really, to be honest here, I don't give a fuck what the Warriors' record is right now in the early of the season, because the Miami Heat with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh when they first started were just like terrible to watch. Like, they were like 10-7 in the beginning of the fucking season, but yet they still made the NBA Finals that year. I mean, I'm just saying the early season of the NBA is kind of blah. It's kind of whatever. Like, the time to start talking about MVP considerations and stuff like that is around and after All-Star break. So once January hits, that's when I kind of set in my MVP candidacy and who I think is making the championship. And then after All-Star break, it's very clear who's going to win those awards to me. Last year, I think Steph Curry, he was just so phenomenal at the start of the season. The Warriors in general just so phenomenal that it was just like you got caught up into hype and you thought, you know, yeah, this is their year. Yeah, James Harden is terrible on defense. Would Dana White be good at running the WWE? To some degree, yes. I think he would implement some ideas that would make the WWE very interesting and do a good job actually creating stars. But yeah, that's the thing with Dana White. He has created some stars from that UFC. Now, granted, some of them have been WWE guys, but at least he's kept them on their momentum. Look at guys like GSP. Look at guys like Anderson Silva. You know, became household names. John Jones is another guy that he's created stars for. So, yeah. Just saying. Dana White knows how to create stars, unlike Vince. CP3 for MVP. Well, yes, Chris Paul's a low-key, quiet MVP. I just think the stats are not going to be there. You know, if the Clippers make a 1 or a 2 seed, I could see it, but I don't know. James Harden makes Eric Gordon look like God. Look, what the fuck? Why are we talking about basketball? This is MMA. We've gone off the tracks, guys. We were riding this locomotive fine talking about MMA. Now we're talking about goddamn basketball. God damn it. Yeah, CP3 is getting too old, and yeah, Eric Gordon, really good player. Anyways, guys, I think that's enough now. We're talking about basketball. We over here trying to do an MMA show, and we talk about basketball. Not MMA, not mixed martial arts, basketball. Basketball. That was a failed attempt at doing practice. So, anyways, thank you all, guys, for watching this live stream, whether you're watching it live or recorded. I thank you all very, very much. Hope you guys enjoyed the content that I provided to you. If you guys are new here and you liked it, hit that subscribe button. Give this video a big old thumbs up. So anyways, guys, tomorrow I was supposed to do a wrestling live stream because I had a day off from work. But some shit has happened where it's just kind of like I had to switch my schedule because I had to schedule a doctor's appointment for the weekday. And Wednesday's the only day where I could get a reliable ride to the doctors and everything like that. So I had to schedule a doctor's appointment for Wednesday and everything like that. And so yeah, so I'm working now on Sunday, so I'm not going to be doing the wrestling stream, but on Monday I'll be doing a wrestling stream for sure, because I'm not going to go see a movie after work on Monday like I normally do, because I work at a movie theater, so I just go see fucking free movies whenever I want. But I'm already going to see the Arrival movie on Thursday night, and then try to catch Fantastic Beasts afterwards. So that's the plan, kids. Anyways, thank you all for watching. Hope you guys have a good one. See you guys Monday for a wrestling stream. Have a good one. And just like Brock Lesnar, kids, remember, sometimes you don't have to give a shit. Peace.